Right, so I've done a pre-assembly test of the upper torso, shoulders and arms. I'm still working on the silicon molds, and I've just recently done some molds of the side gearbox pieces, which should hopefully allow me to complete the head. I'm hoping to actually cast them in pewter so that it maintains the metal finish that I'm going for. As with the other shoulder, the parts do actually articulate and sort of move around. It's really more of a matter at this stage at just making sure that everything fits the way I want it to and lines up the way I want it to. It just gives me an opportunity when it's together like this to actually see exactly what's going where and where I've missed. Classic example is I've got a hole that's drilled here where there's some more hoses that will be attached to that, and I quite simply forgot to do it on the other side. So it allows me to spot all those little issues and everything else and get them fixed up. And like I've put a little marker pen there so I know where I'm going. The major reason why I'm doing this is because when I come to the final assembly, I don't want to have to start messing around re-drilling holes and making sure that things align up and all that sort of stuff properly. There's a few things. They all end up being relatively minor, but altogether it means that there's still quite a bit of adjustment to do. The most notable one at the moment is that overall his shoulder width is a little too wide, which means I have to cut down the pistons by a couple of centimetres so that they can compress a little bit further. The gap in here, you can see there's probably about 3.5 fingers wide sort of thing. Should be more like 2 to 2.5 fingers wide, and that will bring his shoulders in a little further. To give you an idea, the inside edge of the piece there should match the outside edge of the piece just there, and that would make his shoulder width a little bit better. At the moment he's just a little bit too broad shouldered. Some of the other adjustments I've already started doing. I've lengthened the neck slightly. I've brought that up by about 1 inch or about 2 centimetres. Before he was just looking a little too stocky in the neck. So I've lengthened that up a little bit more. The other thing is the rotation of the motor on this side needs to be down a little bit more. It's a little bit too up in that position, so that has to sort of be rotated down and be adjusted as well. And then I've got to start working out the placement of the cables and all that sort of stuff. There's not as much flexibility in this arm as what there is in the other arm, and again that's partially, it's 2 reasons. One, because this piston here is a little bit long, which means it's bottoming out in the top, and the other reason is that the one at the back there, inner piece inside there, needs to be carved out a little bit more so that it's got some more clearance when the arm sort of hinges. None of these parts here, like the original bits and pieces, you can see it's really gappy in places and very, very loose in places. That's where I'll start adding in the spacers, which will close up those joints really nicely and tighten them up. There's some more to go into the neck vertebrae for exactly that same reason. You know, one to close the gap up and not make it look quite so visibly gappy, and the other reason is basically to take that floppiness out of it. But at the moment, I'm pretty happy with the way it's going. The other thing that you'll notice is that a lot of these components, this one for instance hasn't even been polished at all. This one still needs quite a bit of sanding. So this is quite literally just to make sure that all the nuts and bolts are fitting where they're supposed to, and all the alignment issues have been sorted out before I actually go and, for the most part, break it all down into its individual components again and give it the final polish before the final assembly. Once I close up those gaps and get the spacing sorted out a bit better, I'll post another video so that you can see the difference, and I might throw in some comparison photos. But that's pretty much the update for this time, guys. Hope you like this one. Talk to you next time.